So let's play a game of what if. What if the Spurs whiff on getting De'Aaron Fox?
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Spurs right here on the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio. Glad to have you all back. And TGIF, happy Friday, everybody. We're having a great day. Make sure to subscribe to the Locked On Spurs newsletter. It's in the description below if you're on YouTube. Click the link. Literally says Locked On Spurs newsletter. It's free. Sign up today and subscribe to Locked On Spurs on YouTube, Spotify, Ken's 5 Plus app, iTunes. Pick a platform. We are there. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You want to go to FanDuel.com right now because Super Bowl 59 is here. There's no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. New customers get themselves $200 in bonus bets if they bet $5, and if you win, you'll get those $200 in bonus bets. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com to get started. What are we talking about today? We're going to be playing a game of what if. There's a lot of chatter about Spurs, De'Aaron Fox. He's on the Spurs are on the top of the list. He's making it known at San Antonio right now. But what if the Spurs, Fox, that doesn't happen? Vegas thinks it's going to happen. We'll give you the Vegas numbers in a few minutes. But what if the Spurs just, as the kids say, fumble the bag, and either he's off to a different team or he stays in Sacramento? Is that really a bad look for the squad, for Brian Wright, for the rebuild? And then we're going to preview tonight's game, Spurs Bucks. Yeah, Spurs got another test on their hands. Hopefully they can snap the 2-game losing skid. Yeah, again, they got trounced versus the Clippers. Y'all see that? Yeah. Well, we remind you of the bad in just a few minutes. Go to bring in our guest. He is Rudy Campos of Sweep the League, filling in once again. We got a guest had to cancel/reschedule, so we go to Armando Ginobili here. He is Rudy Campos of Sweep the League. What's going on, Rudy?
Nothing much, man. Nothing much. Thanks for having me again, Jeff.
Appreciate it. Y'all know Rudy's kind of on limited time right now, so we're going to try to get him in, get him out as fast as we can. But we're just going to dive into it. So, said a little while ago, everybody's talking about Fox Spurs. It's going to happen. Hey, get the jerseys ready because it's all but certain, pretty much certain. By the way, Vegas Sportsbook AG has the Spurs with minus 150 odds of landing him. So that's pretty high, all things considered. But, it makes sense why you want to bring in Fox, Rudy, the dynamic guard. He's entering his prime. One of the better scorers in the league. We've seen the Spurs go scoring droughts. It makes sense. It's like a perfect marriage. But what if the Spurs fumble the bag? What if they drop the ball? Let's start off with that premise. So I think, Rudy, if they drop the ball on this, when you have a top-tier guy in the NBA saying, not him saying a report saying that he wants to come to San Antonio, you got to strike it. And I think it's like a silver platter. It's in your hands. It's right in your lap. And you toss it aside. I think this would really be a bad look for the Spurs, for Brian Wright. Rudy, your thoughts?
Well, it's kind of what I've been saying on Sweep the League for the past couple of nights, and the fact of it's already on the table. It's already in the Spurs' lap. They just have to basically just pull the trigger is all it is. And there's nothing more left to be said. I think the last parts of the trade package are probably being worked out, but fumbling the bag, I mean, unless you're a Dallas Cowboy fan, you haven't experienced it a whole lot in San Antonio. Shout out to the Cowboy fans out there. But I think, the idea of them fumbling the bag, I don't think it happens in this case. De'Aaron Fox has made clear where he wants to be. It's not even a secret anymore. I think originally Vegas had Miami number 1, San Antonio number 2, but of course that was because of the whole Jimmy Butler thing. Now it's pretty much San Antonio or bust. There's really no way to fumble the bag other than if Sacramento wants an absurd package in return. Then it's not necessarily fumbling the bag rather than negotiating, but I can't see them fumbling the bag on this one.
I can't either. But again, the premise here, if they do, how bad would that be? I think, one, it'd be a mark against Brian Wright, obviously. This is the first time we're seeing him, hopefully, we'll see, make a deal for a player. Not for picks, pick swaps, future first, second rounders. We're seeing a player addition to the roster. So let's test his mettle, see how he looks at the negotiation table if the Spurs do get it done and Sacramento does agree to the deal. The other thing too, if they drop it and they don't make it happen, the fan backlash would be insane. I mean, fans, I wouldn't be surprised if there would be like torches up and down downtown San Antonio and pitchforks, all that good stuff. I think the backlash would be bad because, again, fans are worried that Wemby could bolt if the Spurs don't make moves to make this team a title contender or at least a playoff team. Let's start off with that. So I think Spurs fans will see that as a missed opportunity. It goes back to the package you brought up. And the big name that you hear is Steph Castle. Mm-hmm. Are we there yet? Are we kind of implying that if Castle is a deal breaker, isn't that kind of implying he's untouchable?
No, man, that's the thing. And before I get onto the Steph Castle part, what you asked earlier about, fumbling the bag, how crucial would it be? It would really be very crucial, but in a sense that it would still be okay because a part of me still feels that even if they don't make it happen before the trade deadline, they will make it happen in the offseason because, you can obviously he can probably sign an extension with Sacramento in the offseason, get, money from Sacramento, but then be traded to San Antonio. So there are other ways to get him to San Antonio, not necessarily just by the trade deadline. I think it's just more of a thing, get it done now before anything else changes type of thing. But the Steph Castle part, Jeff, you got to realize now you're not necessarily giving up on Steph Castle. You just know what you're getting in De'Aaron Fox right now. Perennial potential all-NBA player year in, year out. All-star, potential and perennial all-star every year, just about. One of the top 25 players in the league. One of the top point guards in the league. With Steph Castle, he's still a rookie, but you don't know what the potential is right now. We can all say that he's on a path to be possibly an all-star eventually in the league, but you know what you're getting right now with De'Aaron Fox. And that's the thing is, would you say, well, Steph Castle's off the table because of his potential? That doesn't really, feel really good compared to we're going to get De'Aaron Fox for Steph Castle because De'Aaron makes us win. Right now, he's already has all this. He's already an all NBA type player, all-star type player. So you know what you're getting now, basically. Steph Castle, we can't predict his future. That's why I'm okay with him being a part of the package deal. Also, chances of Devin Vassell staying are really, really good if Steph Castle is part of that package.
Yeah. Yeah, it just feels like that name, Castle, might have to be on the table because, like, we've seen the Spurs fans go through this. We went through this with Kawhi Leonard. So you kind of understand where the Kings fan base, Kings media is coming from. You want your top choice picks. You want top choice players. Reports coming out that the Sacramento Kings want ready to win now players. And maybe the Spurs don't have that type of player right now. You had a radio station out of Sacramento, Rudy, saying, oh, well, does San Antonio really have what Sacramento needs? Who are these guys? I don't think Vassell or Sohan are all-stars. They're not saying anything wrong. They're not lying. But I think the Spurs have enough to push onto the table to make the Kings say, yeah, let's deal. Let's wheel and deal. I think, again, let's just take out Castle. I think a couple of first-round picks, Keldon and I'm making this up here, whoever. Okay, Vassell, you mentioned Vassell. I don't think that's a package you would pass if you're the Kings, right?
No, you don't pass. Instantly, Devin Vassell makes that team competitive, and they are competitive now. Let's not be honest. If they're robotic, they've got 4 guys already in the starting lineup that are keeping them competitive. They just need one other player if they lose De'Aaron Fox. Devin Vassell makes them still a very competitive team, and that's where I feel Sacramento's front office may look at Devin and say, okay, we can still win now with a player like Devin Vassell. You have Devin Carter move into that starting lineup for the point guard position, or keep this in mind, the Spurs can do a Devin Vassell, Trey Jones type of move to give the Kings another point guard to go along with Devin Carter. So the centerpiece is going to be either Devin or Stephon Castle. And the decorations around the centerpiece are all those first-round picks.
Yeah.
If Stephon is part of the deal, that's -1 first-round pick that the Kings are probably going to get, essentially. Now, if they take Devin, then you're looking at, like I said, 4, possibly an outside chance of 5 first-round picks to be included in that draw. But let's not forget, the chances of a third team being involved here are really, really high, not for the money sake, but because you've got disgruntled players around the league that a 3-team deal is more than likely to be on the table.
Yeah. Well, let's continue this chat about the Spurs, Fox, if they were to not make a deal happen. Right here with Rudy Campos of Sweep the League. Follow him on X right now at Sweep the League and check out his show, same name, Sweep the League, over on YouTube. But first, let's talk about TurboTax. This is a message from sponsor Intuit TurboTax. Taxes was waiting and wondering and worrying if you're going to get any money back. And then waiting, wondering, and worrying some more. Now Taxes is matching with an TurboTax expert who can do your taxes as soon as today. An expert who gives your taxes their undivided attention as they work on your return while you get real-time updates on their progress so you can focus on your day. An expert who will find you every deduction possible, file every form, every investment, and everything with 100% accuracy. Or you can get that money back, the most money back, guaranteed. No waiting, no wondering, no worries. Now, this is Taxes. Get an expert now at TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live full service, real-time updates only in iOS mobile app. See guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guarantees.
What's up, guys? This is KG Tang, voice of Sanami Shinizugawa and Demon Slayer, and you're watching Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia.
We're back right here on Locked On Spurs with Rudy Campos of Sweep the League. His show is on YouTube, also Sweep the League. To follow him on X, again, also at Sweep the League. Do that right now. We're talking about De'Aaron Fox, Spurs, what's going on, the latest. And the big topic is, what if the Spurs can't make things happen? So let's pick up with that. If this deal doesn't go through and if something happens, maybe a surprise team comes in and just gives Sacramento a deal that they can't pass up, do you think that impacts the rebuild? Or is this still pretty much, steady as it goes, keep on going? Because if you add Fox now, mid-season, you got him for a half a season at minimum. You got off-season with him, training camp with him, preseason with him next year, and, it could be a nice team moving forward. But if you miss out, then you're just kind of stuck with this roster right now, and the rebuild just seems to just continue to go at a glacier's pace. With Fox, you hit the hyperdrive on the Falcon, don't you?
Yeah, adding De'Aaron Fox mid-season definitely put the hyperdrive type of feel on the San Antonio Spurs rebuild process. But at the same time, if you're a Spurs fan, you're looking inside to everything, it's not really a bad thing. If you get De'Aaron Fox at the trade deadline, great. It boosts the rebuild really, really quick. If you get him in the offseason, no worries. You start the season fresh with him. But regardless, De'Aaron has his sights set on San Antonio. And the contract extension part is where it's really key. He could spend another entire season in Sacramento. But that's probably not going to happen because they know they're going to lose him for nothing. And that's the reason why this deal's got to get done either now or in the offseason, because they're not going to go into next season with him knowing he's there for 1 year. So whether it happens now or not, it just kind of depends. But eventually he will be in San Antonio. But the good thing is, Jeff, he doesn't come right now. And you go into the offseason, you kind of see where those picks land in 2025 for that draft. So that also boosts the rebuild. If Atlanta's struggling right now, they lost Keldon Johnson for the season. So that team doesn't look very good to make even the play-in spot right now. So that Atlanta pick could really be huge for the Spurs, our season. So I would say right now the rebuild is stay the course right now. And I don't want to say we like the players we have. That's a whole common thread right there. Yeah. It's stay the course right now, because right now you're going to get De'Aaron, whether it be trade deadline or off season. It just comes down to, can they get it done now so that way they can eliminate every other team that's looking in.
Yeah, and that's what worries me as the days pass, as we get closer to the draft. The NBA trade deadline is, if you're the Spurs, you run the risk of this was all just smoke from Fox's camp, and they just want that extension, or I don't know, they want a bigger bag. The Kings are winning right now; they're playing a lot better. Where that continues. Mm-hmm. Also, you allow another team to sneak in and offer Sacramento something bigger and better that maybe that Spurs didn't anticipate. Whether that be Miami, I don't think Houston would want to disrupt what they got going. They're playing pretty good basketball. But what if they decide? Yeah, I think Houston's out. What if it's a little kind of a sneaky team like a Brooklyn or a Utah who have quality players, Colin Sexton, Kessler, Markkanen, and they got picks. They come in and like, oh, how about this deal? Well, we see San Antonio's deal. We raise it by Walker Kessler and Colin Sexton or something like that. So those risks set in, and that's why if a deal is going to be done, it may have to be sooner than later. What do you think, Rudy?
I'm on the fence of that, whether it needs to be done sooner or later. I think what benefits Spurs community and the Spurs front office is the fact that De'Aaron has, basically said he's only going to sign an extension with two teams, that being Sacramento and that being San Antonio. Now, the Sacramento extension is only because he can get more value, like more dollars, if he resigns to Sacramento and then gets traded. So that's kind of the bird rights and everything that everybody talks about. Certain contracts, you get more from your current team than you would from other teams in free agency. So that's why you see a lot of sign and trades. But you got to also throw in a factor here is there's a couple of teams that are mentioned. One is never mentioned in anything, and I'm going to mention them right now. One of them is Orlando. Orlando's mentioned as a destination for De'Aaron Fox, and they've got a lot of young talent. They've got some draft picks. They've got players that can move, and he can help them fill a position they need right away. A super, 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 super outside team to not worry about, I'm going to say, but is kind of maybe a sneaky team to think about is the Oklahoma City Thunder. Why? You move SGA to the 2 guard. You have De'Aaron Fox in the backcourt. They have young talent they can obviously part with, but what Pam Presti has done exactly what Brian Wright did. He has a load of draft picks that he is not worried about stopping. But for Spurs fans' sake, let's just be real. I think they're more in on Giannis Antetokounmpo in the couple of years that he's going to be a free agent. So I would say that's going to be their primary target right there. But again, there's a lot of teams that are out there that are asking Sacramento what they want. But at the end of the day, with Fox's agent, they've got one destination in mind. It's made it very, very clear where it is. So it's up to the front office, man. If the front office can get it done, then it'll be a Spurs sooner than later.
Yeah, and think about too, Fox has the ultimate Death Star button on his side because he could say, okay, I'm going to Miami. All right, well, Miami, how do you like a rental player named Fox? Because I'm
exactly.
Or hey, I'm Houston, I'm just saying that. Hopefully you have a deep playoff run because after this, I'm out. So he has the ultimate kill switch on a deal. So yeah, Sacramento or San Antonio, 2 small markets. Go figure, Rudy. He's not chasing the bright lights of New York City or LA or Chicago or anything like that. No, it's 2 small markets. We'll see how that happens. But it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. The trade deadline is just a few days away. Before we hit the break here real fast, I just want to ask you, colossal failure if the Spurs don't get anything done?
No, I would say no. Now, if you're talking trade deadline, no. If you're talking overall, then yeah, colossal failure because he's made it very clear where he wants to be.
Yeah, exactly. I'm with you. Overall, if nothing gets done, no matter what point of time, I think it's a big failure. Because how often do you have a all-star say, I want to go to San Antonio? Rarely. I don't think it's ever happened. In season, I don't think it's ever happened, to my knowledge. Yeah, no. You know what? Hold this on. I got some trivia for you. All right, so just hang on tight. He is Rudy Campos of Sweep the League. Make sure to follow him on X at Sweep the League. He'll be bragging about his show in just a few minutes. When we get back, we're going to just quickly preview tonight's game, Spurs-Bucks, and put a wrap on this episode of Locked On Spurs. But first, we got to talk about FanDuel. Attending NFL playoff games is an unforgettable experience and brings fans together. I remember going to my first NFL game from the tailgating, the fan experience, to eating the good food that was there. Going to NFL games is fun. And now with the NFL playoffs here, well, you can connect with other fans. Hey, I'm pretty sure you got a lot of good memories going to an NFL game. And Game Time. That's where Game Time comes in. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for events even easier. It filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Look, just pick an upcoming game, Super Bowl coming around the corner. Game Time will be there for you. I recently used Game Time Picks to find tickets, not just for an NFL game, but also for NBA games. Surprisingly, the deals were simple. I found great values for all kinds of seats around the venue. The super deal was especially impressive, offering the best value for the event. The app features, like seat views before you buy, all-in prices, no surprise fees at checkout, makes the experience smooth and reliable. Plus, the on-time ticket delivery and lowest price guarantee gave me peace of mind. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $10 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Create that account, redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
All systems have been alerted to your presence. You must subscribe to Locked On Spurs immediately.
We're back right here on Locked On Spurs with Rudy Campos. He is our sixth man. He's our go-to guy. And I hope we got to get him out, man. See, he's crawling. He's crawling right now. You hear that? He's gasping for life, man. We had to call him off the bench because he put in 48 minutes already. We're asking him for another 10 right here on Locked On Spurs. Your flu game, yeah. Following one next ask sweep the league. Hey, before preview tonight's game, quick trivia. Why did I say trivia? Maybe trivia is the wrong word. How about a ranking? How's that? If the Spurs make this in-season deal, is it the best in-season deal the Spurs have ever had in franchise history? I can't think of one. I can't think of would you consider Richard Jefferson deal? That was in season.
What is that? Yeah, that was in season.
That was in season, yeah.
So okay, let me do it like this then. Would probably the Derek White move and maybe the DeMar DeRozan? And the reason why is because they brought in draft picks, so capital.
Mm-hmm.
I would say maybe those two because they brought in the draft capital to make a De'Aaron Fox move possible, I would say. I don't know. I mean, that's kind of a good one there.
Yeah, that's a good one. Now, how about this one? How about trades for all-star quality? So then they would get through in, doesn't matter, in-season, off-season, whatever. So then you could bring in Rodman Elliott deal. You can bring in potentially this deal. And just for our sake of argument, we'll just say that the Fox Spurs deal is made. Let's go ahead and bring in, I guess, Terry Cummings deal back in the day.
Yeah.
What was it? I don't think Gervin. Gervin was in season or off season?
I think Gervin was off season.
Oh, Gervin was off season. Okay.
I think so.
So I mean, you can't throw in LaMarcus because there was no trade. He was just a signing.
I think Terry Cummings was in season, if I'm not mistaken.
Regardless. Was that in season? What about Mo Cheeks? Mo Cheeks was off season, I think. Yeah, Mo Cheeks was off season.
Cheeks was off season. I know Derek Anderson was off season. That was signing. Okay, I would say this. Probably De'Aaron Fox would probably be number 1A to Rodman 1B. But after that, I think the Kawhi move would probably be 2. Because you got both Jakob and DeMar in that deal, which kept you competitive. And yeah, I think I would probably put the Kawhi move after both of those moves.
Where would you rank Derek White then? Because you got first round picks in that one.
Top 5 because of what you got in return. Now, Derek White obviously is an NBA champion now. Probably should have been the point guard for the Spurs for his entire career. But the haul you got for Derek White definitely top 5 move for me because it gets you a bunch of picks.
Would number 3 be DeJounte trade? It's got to be, right?
Yeah, because DeJounte, even Atlanta 2025, 2027, and I think 2029 or 30 picks. So, yeah, DeJounte is top 4 easily with those picks.
Yeah, easily. That's actually a good conversation to have on your show or just have a whole episode on Locked On Spurs. So this is a pretty good topic here. How would you rank Spurs major trades? Not this little side stuff they have like, oh, we are trading Ken Birch for a second rounder. Nothing like that. But anyway, hey, Spurs got a game today. Spurs Bucks. Hopefully the Spurs can snap their 2-game losing skid. Let's start off with the Bucks here. Rudy, 4th in the East, 26-19 record. What are some key things the Spurs got to keep an eye on, or at least try to exploit? Well, over the last 2 games, Rudy, the Bucks have not been hitting the 3-point shots. They have fewer 3-point makes than the opposition, so the 3-shot is not falling for them. Not to say the Spurs are 3-point gunners, but hey, that's something the Spurs may not have to worry about, is defending that 3. Also, too, Rudy, if we're talking about that third period for the Spurs, which is like destruction city for them, the Bucks are averaging about 29 points per game in the third. So keep that in mind. And some stats that they're out here for you. Well, let's start off with this one's a good one here. If the Bucks are trailing after the third period, they're 2-8 on the road. So hopefully the Spurs are up on the scoreboard and into the final frame. However, they're just slightly above 500 on the road. If they're leading at halftime, they're 6-4. So they tend to be kind of a middle of the pack team when it comes to little stats like that. Let's look at some Bucks stats here. So I was going to bring this up. Well, first of all, before we get into that, obviously it begins and ends with Giannis, doesn't it? I mean, the Giannis-Wemby matchup should be fun to watch, right?
Oh, yeah. Giannis Wemby is always fun to watch since they've been playing past couple of years, this year and last year. Yeah, just keeping Giannis in control. Wemby's going to have to be able to match Giannis's, his man, I went blank for it, but his skill set is what I'm going to basically say. Giannis could be a very big terror on the defensive side of the court for a lot of players, but I think just matching Giannis for Wemby would be enough for the Spurs to keep them in the game and possibly get the win. So that's the matchup to watch, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, in the month of January, the Bucks are averaging a season high 118.6 points per game, and that's through 14 games played in this month of January. So another little tidbit there for you. As far as the Spurs are concerned, 2-game losing skid. They're just getting thumped in the second half. Chris Paul said it after the game versus the Clippers. Said story of the season. You play good in one half, you play bad in the second half. The Spurs got out-rebounded. It was not even close. It was like 52-37. Zubac single-handedly out-rebounded on the offensive end the entire Spurs roster. That seems to be what's killing them in the last few games, is lack of rebounding, turnovers, and just not 48 minutes of ball. Rudy, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, the rebounding has been super, super key for San Antonio. Turnovers are going to be there. I mean, I'm not using the young card, but it's the inexperienced card, I guess, is what it is, too. Yeah. You can't rely on Chris Paul and Harrison Barnes to be your focal points on not turning the ball over and being the only leadership on the team. But as far as the overall picture, it's rebounding. They tend to get outmatched and out-rebounded in a lot of games. Just show that they're not crashing the board. They're trying to get on the fast break. They're relying on a couple of guys, not one, just to get rebounds. And it doesn't really work that way when you have other teams that are really aggressive on the board. That eats up the Spurs. And then you see those leads for the other team go from 2 to 3 all the way up to 13, 15 points. And you're trying to figure out why. Well, it's because you're not crashing the board. Containing the rebounds is going to be huge for the Spurs in this game with Lopez and Giannis.
Yeah, so Spurs definitely have their hands full tonight versus the Bucks. Again, 2-game losing skid for the Spurs. Not good times in San Antonio. It's just weird, Rudy. The Spurs starting to fumble a little bit, stumble. Hawks start losing. Bulls start losing. Not 48 minutes. Draft picks. Just weird, isn't it, how that happens? Spurs all of a sudden start losing now. Interesting.
Yeah, 30 wins. So, I mean, I'm still not changing my Yeah, I give him 32, but I had him at 30. So.
Well, they're 20 and 24 right now, so I think they can pull out 10 more wins in the season. They better, because imagine after they get below 30 this year. Oh my goodness.
It's going to take a move, I think, to get to I think we said 30 to 35, 35 being the most. It's going to take a move, possibly a trade, to get him to that 35 win mark.
Yeah.
I know you're over halfway through the season. You're at 20 wins, so should make it. I mean, I'm throwing a really, really big should in there.
Yeah. By the way, one more thing about tonight's game: Bucks. Spurs not only on a 2-game losing skid, they're on a 5-game losing skid at home. Lost the last 5 games at home, everybody. So happy Friday, everybody. There you go. He is Rudy Campos of Sweep the League. Follow him on X at Sweep the League. What's going on in your neck of the woods?
Yeah, Sweep. You can go to YouTube, search Sweep the League TV, and you can hit the subscribe button. Derek Irvin's actually going to be off till next week. So as of this airing, he's going to be off next week. But we've got a lot going on. Super Bowl coverage coming up. Senior Bowl is where all the draft picks, all the high draft picks, well, not high, but some of the seniors are playing out. Get you ready for the NFL draft. Trade deadline is coming up next week. So just a ton of stuff that we are launching at Sweep the League as far as coverage goes. Shout out to Fight Insight Podcast, the brand new MMA podcast added to the Refocus and Sweep the League network. So yeah, be sure to go to YouTube, search Sweep the League TV, and subscribe.
Or you just follow Rudy on X at Sweep the League. Do that right now. Hey, everybody, thanks for making Locked On Spurs your first listen every single day. We are free and available where we get podcasts. And subscribe right now. Subscribe to the Locked On Spurs newsletter. It's in the description below in the YouTube side of things. See the link there. It says Locked On Spurs newsletter. Click on that. Completely free. Hit your email inbox every single day. We'll be back on Monday to talk Spurs as their season continues. Hopefully some W's, because we really got the Rudy road trip coming up very soon. So, yikes. We'll see how the Spurs do there. So we'll be definitely talking about that and so much more. But for Rudy Campos, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.